Good morning. Happy April. Rabbit. To celebrate the new month and coming spring, I have teamed up with Haley. Shout out Haley C from Room 204 for a super fun topic today, incredible ice cream. It is one of my favorite foods all year round. But as the weather gets warmer, it is certainly a fun treat to enjoy. So let's learn a little bit about ice cream. Who doesn't love ice cream? It comes in so many different flavors, textures, consistencies, and it actually has a very interesting history. So ice cream's origins are known to reach back all the way to 2nd century BC, when a kind of ice cream was invented in China. So historians do think that ice cream began, at least, in Asia. It was a mix of milk and rice that was frozen by packing it in snow. Remember that there were certainly no freezers or refrigerators back then, so the only way to cool something down was using natural ice, and in China they used snow. We also have references to ice cream or an ice cream-like food in 618 through 697 AD in China. So again, super long time ago, still in China. And the king at that time actually had 94 icemen. That's what this job was called. And they worked in the kitchen and they made a frozen dessert of buffalo milk, rice flour, and camphor, which is a kind of herb. So it was kind of like an herby dessert treat, and historians think that they would eat it between meals to kind of cleanse your palate. And people still do that today using either like sorbet or sherbet. So historians also know that Alexander the Great enjoyed snow and ice flavored with honey and nectar. During the Roman Empire, Nero Claudius Caesar, so this was the year 54 to 86 AD, often sent runners into the mountains for snow, which was then flavored with fruits and juices. So again, there weren't cars or planes back then, so if you wanted something that was far away, they would often send a runner, and this person or group of people would run really far distances, kind of like a relay race to get what they needed. So the emperor in ancient Rome would send these runners into the mountains for snow, and then they would bring it back, kind of pass it like a relay, and he would flavor it with fruits and juices and sweet things. And a fun fact, granita, which is a semi-frozen dessert made from sugar, water, and various flavorings, is still popular in Italy and all over Europe. So this kind of ancient Roman ice cream is still really popular in Italy. So the history of ice cream continues. Over 1,000 years later, Marco Polo returned to Italy from the Far East with a recipe that closely resembled what is now called sherbet. And this is my picture of Marco Polo eating ice cream. England seems to have discovered ice cream at the same time, or they called it cream ice, as it was called, and it appeared regularly at the table of King Charles I during the 17th century. So this is during the 1600s, and here he is, enjoying a cone. And also, France was introduced to a similar frozen dessert in 1553 by the Italian Catherine de' Medici when she came as the wife of Henry II of France. So the King of France married an Italian woman and she brought with her ice cream. Ice cream comes to the US. So remember that during these ancient times, the United States wasn't a country yet. North America and South America did have people living here, the Native Americans. But eating dairy actually was very European. So it didn't become a thing over on this continent until the United States had been established. Ice cream officially made its way to America in 1744 when a Scottish colonist visited the governor of Maryland and wrote about the delicious strawberry ice cream that he had eaten there. From there, ice cream became popular in the White House, with Presidents George Washington and Thomas Jefferson loving the treat on hot summer days. Yet, ice cream remained a dessert for the upper class. Now, because it was hard to make, remember there are no freezers, so you had to have special supplies, you had to have people to bring you ice. At this time, only the rich could make ice cream. You needed to have fresh dairy, you needed to have access to ice or snow, you needed to have sugar, which was expensive. So in the United States at this time, it was really only the rich and presidents who were eating ice cream. Here's George Washington enjoying looks like a waffle cone. Here's a artifact of an early ice cream maker. You would pack the bucket with ice and then put the cream in the middle in kind of a metal container, and you would churn it by hand. So you would have to turn it for a really long time. It usually would take hours to get that kind of cold, creamy consistency. And this is actually a copy of Thomas Jefferson's favorite ice cream recipe. And I put the link here if you're interested to kind of see what Thomas Jefferson liked to eat as ice cream. You can actually look at a picture of the recipe, which is neat. Ice cream for everyone. Finally, in 1851, ice cream entered mass production, and that means that people were able to make enough of it so everyone could enjoy it. Jacob Fussell, a Pennsylvania milkman, opened an ice cream factory to make use of his unsold milk. So again, back in the day, there used to be a milkman, and he usually would come from a dairy where the cows are and would either drive around in an early automobile or take a horse and carriage and deliver milk to people, because there really wasn't, a grocery store. You can go to Whole Foods, you can go to Stop and Shop. But at the end of the day, he would have all this extra milk, so he decided to do something with it, and he decided to make an ice cream factory. The factory was an instant success. Advances in refrigeration, steam power, and automobiles finally made it possible for ice cream to be transported, which means moved around, sold, and stored. So late in the 1800s and early in the 1900s, when electricity became popular and people had electricity in their homes, they could start to have refrigerators. So when you bought your ice cream, you had a place to keep it. Up until then, if you got an ice cream cone, you had to eat it instantly because it was going to melt. In the 1930s, ice cream hit grocery store shelves and became a staple in American freezers. So after World War II, when stores started to become bigger and sell more things, or World War I, sorry, when stores started to become bigger and sell more things, they started to carry ice cream. The popularity of ice cream grew to the point where it was seen as a symbol of America. So people all over the world had ice cream by now, but Americans seemed to really like ice cream to the point where it became, when people thought of ice cream, they thought of America. So much so that during the Second World War, so now we're at the next World War, serving ice cream to the troops became a source of morale. So you can see up here, there's a picture of a soldier enjoying ice cream during World War II. Super devastating and sad time, but they would ship ice cream to the soldiers and it would make them really happy and it would cheer them up and remind them of home, because remember, it's that symbol of America. And here are some kids enjoying ice cream from the ice cream truck. And Good Humor ice cream is usually the brand of ice cream that ice cream trucks still sell today. So it's a pretty old company. Ice cream today. So what does ice cream look in 2020? Ice cream is no longer just a treat for the rich. Today, ice cream is found in almost any restaurant, store, and home freezer. I don't know one person that probably doesn't have a little bit of ice cream in their freezer. I know, I do. It's a lot. In the United States alone, 1.6 billion gallons of ice cream and frozen treats are produced annually, with the average American eating 4 gallons of ice cream every year. That's a lot of ice cream. And a gallon of ice cream is the big container, like one of those. So on average, an American will eat 4 gallons a year. These are some of my favorite brands. I love Ben & Jerry's. I love Haagen-Dazs. Oh, I really want some now. Popular flavors. So here are America's top 5 flavors, according to a recent survey. Number 1 is vanilla. Simple, but classic. 2, chocolate. 3, cookies and cream. 4, mint chocolate chip. That surprised me, even though I love that flavor. And 5, chocolate chip cookie dough, which was my favorite as a kid. And if you need a recommendation on the best chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream, it would be Ben & Jerry's. Very chunky. So ice cream of the future, what is it going to look like? Ice cream of the future will not just come in a cup or cone. Even now, you can make ice cream using chemistry, and one could argue that cooking is always chemistry. with the use of liquid nitrogen that instantly freezes the milk and cream. So here's an example. Now in restaurants, they can take the milk, cream, and sugar in a bowl and pour some liquid nitrogen, which is super cold, and it instantly freezes it and makes the ice cream. There's also dehydrated ice cream, which means that they take all the water and the moisture out of it, that doesn't need to be frozen and can even be sent to space with the astronauts. And here's an example of this astronaut ice cream. They have it at the Museum of Science. It's crazy to eat because it's crunchy, almost like a cracker, but it tastes just like ice cream. And here's one of my favorites, Dippin' Dots. Who doesn't love some Dippin' Dots? So ice cream world records. And I got these from the Guinness Book of World Records. So these are the biggest, the tallest, the heaviest, the most. The tallest ice cream cone measures 10 feet, 1.6 inches in height, and was achieved by Henning Olsen in Norway on July 26, 2015. So this is the world's biggest ice cream cone. Oh my God, can you imagine? The largest ice cream cake weighed in at over 22,000 pounds and was achieved by Dairy Queen Canada in Toronto, Ontario. The cake measured over 14 feet long, 13 feet wide, and 3 feet tall. And it almost looks like they took a whole bunch of cakes and kind of put them together. My favorite part is those chocolate Krispies. I love those. The largest scoop of ice cream weighed in at over 3,000 pounds. That is insane. And was created by Kemp's in Wisconsin. The strawberry flavored ice cream scoop measured over 5 feet tall and 6 feet wide and contained over 700 containers of ice cream. Blowing my mind. I wonder why they picked strawberry. That was an interesting flavor choice, but still cool. Here are some pictures of creative ice cream sundaes that Haley found for me. That one looks kind of fancy. That one, that's a lot of sugar. We have like a cool one with like a fluff or like cotton candy at the bottom. And I thought this one was cool. This was kind of a tropical one. Here are some fancy ice cream sandwiches, again, that Haley found these pictures. I love those because it's like ice cream and a cookie. And here are some suggested activities if you'd like to do more or learn more about ice cream. You could make ice cream, and I included a link, a bunch of different recipes that you can probably make at home. Ice cream's pretty simple. If you have milk, cream, and sugar, you can do it. Ice cream crafts. This one is with little egg cartons and cotton balls. Again, you probably have that stuff at home. Books about ice cream. Videos about the history of ice cream. There's a TED Talk if you want to know more about where ice cream came from. Ice cream word search. I know you guys like those. And last but not least, an ice cream math activity. If you'd like to make a graph about either your favorite ice cream, or I provided you some data for this activity if you'd like to practice that. My sources today, most of this came from Haley. The History Kitchen PBS has a cool website about ice cream. What's Cooking America has a really good one. And if you'd like to check out more ice cream records or just more world records in general, you can head to the Guinness World Records website. I hope you enjoyed learning about ice cream, and I'll see you guys later.